Genesis chapter 3 and verse 23 says, "So the Lord God banished them from the Garden of Eden, and he sent Adam out to cultivate the ground from which he had been made." Then in Genesis chapter 5 and verse 2 it tells us, "He created them male and female and blessed them, and he named them mankind or human." At the beginning of creation then, God ordained two distinct sexes, male and female. And no matter what our feelings or our confusion, we should really act according to the biological reality of God's design. It's only physically possible for a naturally born male and naturally born female to reproduce. Go back to Genesis chapter 1 and we read these words. "Then God said, let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and wild animals." And that is what happened. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind, and God saw that it was good. So God created males and females with different body parts, with different functions, which identify them as male or female. Now our feelings do not choose our gender. Feelings can actually get us into trouble. Take for example someone who's angry. If that anger is not kept in check, it could lead to them harming someone. We know this to be true. We've heard of it happening. You might even wished harm to someone yourself, but you refrained from doing it. Did you give free rein to your feelings? How about a married couple? Things are a bit rocky. There's an excuse because there's someone who'll listen to you, someone who'll care. Do your feelings make it right to cheat on your life partner, your spouse, the one you're supposed to be committed to? Are our feelings okay to be let run free? Are all feelings appropriate? You know as well as I do, there are adults in society that have inappropriate feelings towards children. There are many that are trying to brush this over by calling paedophilia something else. But if they act on their feelings, does that make it okay because that's how they feel? Of course not. We cannot and we must not be guided by feelings alone. To make feelings a guide for what is right or wrong would be a disaster. Whose feelings, after all, are of more value, yours or mine? Satan led Eve, the woman, up the garden path along with the male Adam. He deceived them into taking and eating fruit that they were commanded not to. You see, it felt right to them. As a result, it all went wrong for them, and they were banished from the Garden of Eden, and life became much harder as sin became more prevalent, as people acted on their feelings rather than acting on the truth. And there's the key. Do we live a contented life by our feelings or by truth? Should free rein be given to our feelings, or is there a right and wrong way to live? You know that there is. Even if you're not a believer in God, you know there's an acceptable standard of behaviour. But why is your feeling about that correct and other people who disagree with you incorrect? You see, without absolutes, you can be absolutely certain there will be problems. Our Creator sets out what's right and wrong. It isn't for us to change that based merely on our feelings. People often deny the existence of God because they do not want to be answerable to him or to any higher authority. They want to make their own choices. This has ended up today with what has become known as a cancel culture. Don't you tell me what to do. You just be quiet. You keep your feelings to yourself, whilst what? You can proclaim your thoughts and your feelings. People who want to engage in all sorts of lifestyles, especially where sex and gender are concerned, and have no solid basis, reason or argument for it, just want to shut other people down rather than be open to the discussion that might show that there's a different way that is actually better than just being led by our feelings. So the easiest thing to do, rather than admit they're wrong, is to stop people questioning their behaviour. Why do we have prisons then? If people should just go according to their feelings, surely a thief who decides that I can take something because they've got it and I've not and I need it, why is that not a feeling that's okay to act upon? Why do we have prisons? It's because if you commit the crime, you must do the time. But let me ask, who decided it was a crime? And how was it decided it was a crime? Why are some things illegal in one country and not in another? Why the difference? You see, if the majority feels it's okay, it seems to be okay. And now the minority also wants its way. And that's not to say the majority is right because the majority thinks it, or the minority is right because the minority thinks it. How do we overcome this? We have to have an absolute standard. Adam and Eve had to answer for what they did, and they faced the consequences. God will not be cancelled. His word will not change according to the feelings of people at any given time. However, it is provided for anyone to be forgiven who has failed to keep his commands. He will not be mocked. Sin and wrongdoing that is not stopped or turned away from will be punished. So the Lord God banished them from the Garden of Eden, and he sent Adam out to cultivate the ground from which he had been made. What are the consequences of acting on your feelings?